noose is now tightening around the YouTuber, with police of multiple states set to probe Jyoti Malhotra case. Times Now has learned that a 5-member team of the Ujjain Police's SIT has been sent to Haryana's Hisar to interrogate Jyoti Malhotra. This SIT will focus on Jyoti's intention behind her travel to Ujjain and will seek to know her identity, particularly the identity of the person that she met in Ujjain.
हम लोग लगभग सभी एस्पेक्ट पे काम कर रहे हैं। विस्तृत प्रश्नावली इसको लेकर तैयार की गई है। चूंकि मामला पूरा विवेचना में है तो बहुत डिटेल चीज़ें इसमें बताई जाना संभव नहीं है। हम लोग ने वहाँ अप्रोच किया है हिसार जिले में जाके, और भी एजेंसी ज्योति मल्होत्रा से पूछताछ कर रही है। हमारा भी एक सीक्वेंस है। हम लोग पूछताछ करने के बाद जो भी उसमें डिटेल्स आते हैं, उसका टेक्निकल डेटा क्या है, उसमें और भी जो इंटेलिजेंस हमारे पास है, उसको पूरा क्लब करके आगे जो भी इसमें ऐसी कोई चीज़ अगर पाई जाती है कि उसका कोई सक्रिय इन्वॉल्वमेंट यहाँ से रहा है, तो आगे उसमें जो भी नियम संगत कार्रवाई वो करेंगे।
More breaking news coming in. Apart from Jyoti, other YouTubers are also under the scanner. Times Now has learned that notice will be sent to a batch of YouTubers. Those content creators who visited Pakistan along with Jyoti are under the scanner. Let's quickly go across to Priyank for more on the story. Priyank, who are these YouTubers? How many of them are in number? And how many times have they actually been to Pakistan? Can you get us the details, Priyank?
Yes, Madhav, there were a batch of 6 to 7 YouTubers who had traveled along with Jyoti, but police officials are saying that since they were along with Jyoti, they could have also been approached by the Pakistan's PIO. That's why they will be sent notice to join the investigation. But Madhav, there's a breaking input which is coming in that the first official press statement has been released by the Hisar police. It's in Hindi, so I'll try to tell you to words that what exactly has been stated by the Hisar police. The police has said that the custodial interrogation of the accused is going on and no evidence has emerged about the accused having any access to the military and defense information. So the Times Now news break which we have been talking about, that the so far investigation about the exact military installation detail with Jyoti has not been found, although electronic evidences has been sent for forensic examination. The electronic evidence seized by the police have been sent to examination, and this is also talking about the alleged pages of the diary where the police officials are saying that they have not found in possession of the police officials. There are 4 bank details which are under the scrutiny of the Hisar police, which is also important to be seen because the police officials are trying to ascertain the transaction which has happened. The 6th point, Madhav, is that the accused had been in contact with the PIOs, but till now the fact have come to light which can directly prove the accused was in contact with any terrorist organization. But it is also mentioning that in the fact that regarding involvement of terrorist organization has not been found. So what police is saying that there were contact of Jyoti with the PIOs of the Pakistani intelligence officers, but so far her involvement with the terrorist organization has not been found. So certainly the police is trying to tackle the social media posts which are trying to damage the investigation of the police. And the final fact that the fact has come up in the light regarding the accused marriage to the PIO, this has not been found. So every bit of information, Madhav, which we have been bringing it for our viewers on Times Now has been verified by the police in the statement which has come up where they have categorically denied.
Priyank, thanks so much for joining us with that breaking input. In fact, the statement of the police also clarifying and in fact clearing the kind of news break that we had made earlier in the day as far as Jyoti and her confessions are concerned. Let's quickly in fact take this across to our guests as well. We have RSN Singh, author, joining us. Sushant Sareen is with us. He's a senior fellow at ORF. Dr. Vikram Singh is a former DGP of UP. Let me come to you first. Sushant Sareen, what do you make of this? Because, you know, it just seems to be getting murkier and murkier by the day. Now you have a situation where she has visited Rajasthan, gone to border areas, talked to people, and whether she has actually surveilled, you know, sensitive installations near the border there is something that is being probed. But certainly, of course, the fact that she was in touch with Pakistan intelligence operatives, whether or not she was in touch with terror groups or not is immaterial if she was indeed in touch with those who were part of their intelligence network. Sushant Sareen.
Madhav, all spying cases are very murky, right? So you will have to, you know, I think finally after the investigations are done and a charge sheet is finally filed up, that is when we get to know what exactly is the depth at which this social climber, because most of these characters are social climbers, and what spy recruits do is they identify their attributes and then try and recruit them, seduce them. There's a variety of things. You pay them money, variety of things, what you can do. But I think because she was a social climber, because she did not have the kind of contacts that gave her access into places where she could have got her hands on classified information, I suspect her role was one of an influencer, trying to show that the Pakistanis are really nice, cuddly little guys. Even their terrorists are very sweet people. They don't, do things without any purpose. There is always a nice, decent purpose. That kind of nonsense which we hear all the time from these lowlifes.
Right.
One is that. Second could be of being a messenger, carrying messages, because she's an Indian, she could be carrying some messages from one to another without any suspicion being attracted to her. Third could be recce. If, for example, your report says that she's gone to various places, what she's wrecking those places, maybe that is another line of investigation that will be followed through. And finally, I think there would be some element of information which is technically not really classified, but nevertheless information which is being shared with an enemy country, with an enemy agency. So I would imagine it would be to that level. But, I have no idea of what exactly the investigations have, where exactly the investigations have reached. And I think we should wait till we get something far more concrete.
No, we'll
on what exactly.
definitely be looking at all the state governments that are probing this. But RSN saying it's not just, of course, the Haryana State Police. There was the NIA that has questioned her. Now we're talking about an SIT going from Ujjain to interrogate her as well. So it is police from across the country who are interested in knowing what exactly was the role of this individual, because she has, in the process, visited several states, including Rajasthan, as we just broke. And certainly the police of all those states would now want to know about the activities of this individual, Jyoti, given the fact that she was in touch with Pakistan intelligence. RSN Singh.
But she's not one of those types who has been, trapped and then got blackmailed. She chose to be the hub of this entire network, along with her co-conspirator or the main conspirator or the pivot called Danish. And yesterday, I think on your television channel, I had said this, that, when you see the people who have been apprehended, there are, some of them are just like class 4 employees, at the lowest rung of espionage. She is a notch above those, others who have been caught in Haryana, Delhi, and Punjab. And of course, the area of operations is wide, but mainly on borders. So she has a big network. She's not. She would rather belong to a notch higher than these fellows have been caught. And being a woman, she has access to greater access compared to the other people. And being a woman also makes people in our context less suspicious. So I don't know. She was also recruiting people.
Right.
So that is why I said she's generally what happens that you get into a honey trap or some kind of, you're seduced by some monetary considerations and then you are blackmailed. She's not the one who was blackmailed. She's a willing partner in this proxy war against Pakistan. She is a Pakistan proxy. And I think as the days goes by, it will get bigger.
Okay, let me just bring in some of our other panelists as well. Sushant, I see your hand going on. Quick comments first from our other panelists, please. Professor Madhav Nalapad also joins the show this evening. But Dr. Vikram Singh, just look at the modus operandi and how Pakistan has exploited the situation here. Because now we are told that 6 to 7 other social media, posters, those influencers, including, of course, several YouTubers, are under the scanner. And they all went as one group to Pakistan, is what we are now told. So there's a very concerted effort here at not just influencing those who are watching these social media platforms here in India, but also trying and pushing through their espionage activities, is what we can understand from what we've seen so far.
Yes, Madhav, let us see the snakes in the grass. And as very aptly pointed out by Sushant Sarinji, that this is an insidious move to influence the Indian mind and the Indian thinking. It was not just by way of accident that she was cultivated. She was cultivated, as Mr. Ram Singh said, that because perhaps her requirement for money, fame, subscribers, and the likes, and the impunity with which she could visit sensitive areas. She did visit Pahalgam, and after visit the Pahalgam, you know, this dastardly carnage happened in Pahalgam. Also, she is gone on record to have said that neither India is to blame nor Pakistan is to blame, but the security forces are to blame, and the tourists should have taken greater care and precautions. So it was actually the tourists who are to blame primarily, and therefore the narrative was already set by the ISI. Therefore, to say that it is something that is a particular targeted area, as Mr. R.N. Singh mentioned, those belong to the lowest level in the economy, lower middle class perhaps, and then those who are impoverished, who are narcissistic by temperament, they would work for the intelligence agencies. And to say that she got invited to the Pakistan embassy, we could have, but we have never, I don't think any of us will ever be invited to the Pak embassy for any iftar party or the Pakistan Day celebrations. But she was. She not only was invited, but she met Mariam Nawaz also. So not what is seen, but what remains to be investigated, I will see the financial trail will reveal everything, the amount of money that she received, income disproportionate to known sources of income.
True. And in fact, let me bring in Professor Nalapat on that. Professor Nalapat, you know, at this point of time, we're looking at various police who are going to be making a beeline into the role of this individual, Jyoti. But it really goes to show that how vulnerable, you know, the situation can be, how these individuals who are, of course, desperate to create content, but that doesn't mean they compromise on national security, as that has happened in this particular case, because clearly that, wanting to either get rich quick or get famous quick or get more likes and views on social media, somewhere or the other has played a part in driving this individual.
Madhav, let me point out, we all remember 26/11, when Mumbai happened. We all remember the terror attack on Israel by Hamas, which has caused the entire conflict and spiraled to Lebanon and various other locations. Look, I'm not talking about specific people here, but in the world of espionage, you have what's called bait, attractive bait. And the idea is to hook big fish or whatever. Or you have small fish, then you use that fish to locate even bigger fish, then even bigger fish, and finally bigger fish. So being a social climber, well, absolutely. Wanting money, absolutely. But the fact is that the incalculable damage could have been done as she went up the ladder of their confidence. So as you go up the ladder of their confidence, you undertake more and more operations, more and more sensitive operations. And I'm not casting aspersions on this particular person. I'm just talking in general. Attractive bait of either sex is in this world, and we are talk realistically, attracted to very many people who know many things. True. Let's be honest. In any system, the middle level knows a lot. In fact, possibly as much as the high level. Right. But almost.
All right. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you because there's some breaking news coming in at this moment, and this is the details of the Hisar police statement that we've got on Times Now. In fact, she was questioned by central agencies, is what been stated. Custody has not yet been handed over to any agency. There's no defense or strategic info that has been found, and Jyoti's devices have been sent to forensics. A result of the forensic analysis is yet awaited. However, there are 4 bank accounts that are also being analyzed at this point of time. Now, Sushant, I want to bring you in on this because the very fact that today we had information coming in from the police sources that perhaps she has confessed, she has put out her own version as to who all she spoke to and what all was the information. But at this point of time, the Haryana police statement not saying that, perhaps they're waiting for some more confirmation before they make that public. How do you see this?
Look, I think, all these spying cases, Madhav, are very sensitive cases. And I am of the view that the way the information is handled has to be done very carefully, how information has to be let out. It is important to keep giving some information out, but it is also important to shoot down, a lot of speculation and a lot of fake news, which also is spread. Also, within government agencies, there is a proclivity among people who may or may not know anything about a particular case to, open their mouth to act as though they're very important and they're very clued in. This is a problem that has reached epidemic proportions. You remember when Mumbai 26/11 happened. Initially, there were cops who were saying there are 20 terrorists who have come. All kinds of nonsense is spread by people, and there has to be, and we still haven't figured out how to control information flow. That is one. Secondly, I think Mr. Nalapat makes a very valid point, but it's not just about people at the middle rungs of government, even people at the class 4 level or the group D level who can actually cause a lot of damage. Also
Absolutely.
Because they're financially vulnerable, they are easily susceptible to all kinds of blandishments, and they have a certain access which a social climber like this woman would not ever have. I think you need to be careful about that as well. And finally, I think the government has to wake up to the reality of the menace of the media. There are a whole lot of these YouTubers who are actually indulging in all kinds of blackmail. So you don't necessarily need access. You can actually blackmail officials to get information out of them. And I think something needs to be done about this blackmail industry, which has now, become rampant as far as some smaller channels and also many of these YouTubers have come up with. I think we really need to relook at this entire information space a lot more seriously than we have so far.
Okay, some of the information coming in fact, from this statement, I want to bring in Vikram Singh on this, is that there's no defense or strategic information that has been found, says this particular statement. So, will they still be able to take action against Jyoti if that is indeed the case? Vikram Singh?
Absolutely, Madhav. Not having the sensitive documents that would be in the purview of Official Secrets Acts is one part of the story. And that could also be used as a fact that perhaps to use as a digression as well, because it is not for the police to disclose every shred of evidence that they have. As Sushant Sarinji has mentioned, premature disclosures also do no good to the investigation work as well. Also, that whatever has been recovered and the bank accounts and the visit to the Pakistan embassy and also the visit to the sensitive areas have such material that would be of tremendous use to the ISI and to a hostile country. And I'm sure all the learned panelists would understand that what damage she has been able to do as an influencer or as a travel vlogger, ability to go right across and then pass it on not only to the world but to Pakistan also. I think police have a very strong case with them if they want to charge sheet. This is just the very preliminary stage of investigation. The financial details also, I'm sure, with my information and my experience, can say living beyond one's means, as also you would say that income disproportionate to known sources of income. You see the background of the father where he was staying in an absolutely abysmally pathetic conditions, and look at the daughter living in the lap of opulence. Therefore, they're not compatible. They're just not compatible. True. Therefore, there's a lot of answering that Jyoti has to do. And I think the dots will have to be added together to get the complete picture.
All right. In fact, if I can bring in Arasan Singh on this. Arasan Singh, how do you look at this? Because, she has visited border areas in Rajasthan. She has visited other states of the country. And it appears to be that a majority of the states that she has visited happen to be just states, whether it's Jammu, Kashmir, Kerala, Rajasthan, states that have either a coastline or an international border.
No, her reach is staggering because, as you said, Kerala and then Rajasthan and then, Odisha. She also recruited somebody else also and who accompanied her to Pakistan. Then, she goes to Pakistan, then Thailand. Now that is staggering. But no intelligence or interrogating agency will tell you anything that, whether she has given any strategic intelligence or tactical intelligence or operational intelligence. Nobody will tell you this. So I don't go by, that whatever has been put out, that, she hasn't given anything of a strategic significance. No, sir, it isn't like that. As it grows bigger, I get a sense that, she was one, she's a big fish. She's a big fish who has been caught. But let me tell you, Madhav, for last few years, I have been seeing and really surprised the way the Pakistan has been using, this honey trap business. Where do they get these, women from? I don't know. But so many people, and I say this with some responsibility,
Right.
which may not know, who have become victims. Some of them have been, thrown out of the jobs, and they have tried to, use
All
this
right.
method at every and all levels.
All right. RSN Singh, we'll have to leave it there, completely out of time. Sushant Sareen, Dr. Vikram Singh, Professor Nalapat, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And certainly doesn't appear to be the last as far as the saga of Jyoti is concerned. And of course, we'll continue to track all details as far as that investigation is concerned. Quick break. My colleague Meghna will be with you on the other side.